Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of Recruit Military Live, where we will be discussing how one organization is honoring the spirit of the upcoming National Hire a Veteran Day by investing in the success of the military community, both inside and outside of the workplace. As a friendly reminder, please feel free to drop any relevant questions or comments you may have during today's episode, or just let us know where you're tuning in from. We love to hear from you. As always, my name is Gabby Florez, and I'm joined today by my amazing co-host, Raul Torres. How's it going your way, Raul?
Good, Gabby. How are you doing today?
Phenomenal. Thank you thank you everyone, our audience. We're starting a few minutes late, got a little technical difficulties, but we're just gonna make up for it with that much of an amazing show. And I can't wait to introduce our guests for today.
Absolutely. We have some fantastic guests today. Our first guest is a Senior Talent Acquisition Program Manager of Military Hiring with CVS Health. Please join us in giving a warm welcome to Sarah McMullen. Sarah, welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And then our second guest today is going to be the Lead Director of Military Connected Community Initiatives at CVS Health. Please join us in welcoming Dave Lee. Good morning, Dave. How are we doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Great to be here.
Thank you both for joining us for not only talking about the amazing things that CVS Health does within the military community, but also in the spirit of National Hire a Veteran Day, because as we all know, within the military community, it's not just about hiring veterans, but supporting the military community through outreach programs, initiatives, and continuing to nurture that growth within those organizations once those veterans are hired on. And speaking of amazing organizations with great military community support, would you guys be able to maybe share a bit about the quick history of CVS Health and the veteran hiring supporting initiatives that you all have had?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you again, Gabby and Raul and the whole Recruit Military team for having us. Dave and I are really excited for this conversation. So regarding our history, it's actually a really fun fact that a lot of people don't know. So CVS Health has a long-standing commitment to supporting those who have served. Originally named Consumer Value Store. So if anyone is wondering where did the CVS come from, no longer stands for that, but originally Consumer Value Store. The company was co-founded by Stanley P. Goldstein, a U.S. Army veteran. So we have roots and ties to some of the original co-founders for our organization. And now, more than 60 years later, CVS Health continues to honor military service through veteran and military community hiring initiatives, strategic partnerships, and ongoing support for our military connected colleagues. In fact, since 2016, CVS Health has hired more than 27,000 veterans and 19,000 military spouses and counting.
Those are some whopper numbers right there. Those are huge, and definitely some numbers to be proud of. And so within that, with over 27,000 veterans, and I'm sorry, 19,000 military spouses, which is phenomenal. What would you say the impact has been that for that organization, for your organization, that these spouses and these veterans have had, and maybe why do you believe that military experience translates so well into the industry of CVS Health?
Yeah, I know probably majority of the people on the line here today know this, and I know Gabby, Raul, you certainly know this, but our military connected talent brings invaluable skills and experiences that really help to strengthen our workforce and help to advance our purpose. So our company purpose is to simplify healthcare, one person, one family, and one community at a time. And that is really our mission that ties all of us together in what we do every single day. Culturally, there's also direct alignment between military core values and CVS Health values that guide how we care, collaborate, and lead, including those exact values that are listed on our site of we innovate with purpose, we are accountable, we prioritize safety and quality. So hopefully some of those sound familiar with that direct alignment, again, with many military core values. We all know military connected talent has a long list of valuable transferable skills and experiences operating in complex, fast-paced environments where Teamwork, accountability, and that mission focus are essential. And those really translate well across our entire enterprise. So whether you're looking at a career at our retail pharmacies, distribution centers, corporate functions, customer service operations, or healthcare delivery organizations, there certainly is a place where those skills and experiences are valuable and recognized. So I'll pause there because I know we could probably talk about that one for a while.
Absolutely. And you're taking all of what I learned in boot camp and bringing it to the forefront, because the first thing that came up when you're listing off these characteristics is JJ did tie buckle. And I'm like, yes, we do have all of those, values instilled within us if we didn't already come within, into the military with those. So justice, judgment, dependability, or, all this other stuff, initiative, tact. And I'm like, yes, we do have all of those. So couldn't agree more with you, Sarah. And from that, when it comes to specifically National Hire a Veteran Day, it's often focused on recruiting, right? So employers going out and looking for these amazing military talent, these veterans, these military spouses, these dependents. But CVS Health's efforts extend far beyond hiring. So how does the organization approach supporting military connected individuals through their entire career journey, maybe not just at the very end when they're, needing help the most?
Yeah, it's a great question and a really important question as well. I'll give a brief answer and then ultimately really excited for everybody here to hear from Dave, who's going to expand on that in a lot more detail. But just to start, the support that we provide can begin before an individual officially joins CVS Health through dedicated programs like SkillBridge and fellowship opportunities that we do offer for transitioning service members. Internally, for our colleagues as well, we do have resources and support. Our organization has colleague resource groups, including BRAVE. So BRAVE is our dedicated colleague resource group for our military connected colleagues and allies. And through BRAVE, our colleagues are provided with an opportunity to build connections, expand their networks, engage in professional development opportunities, and participate in community impact initiatives. I would say more broadly, culturally, CVS Health places a strong emphasis on colleague growth and development. So we offer a number of benefits that can all be found on our benefits site externally, but we offer tuition assistance, education partnerships, career development resources, mentorship programs, and ongoing learning to really help our colleagues continue to build their skills and continue to advance their careers as well.
That's
really
phenomenal.
Awesome.
Because it's another one of those things where you don't know where you don't know. And I would have never, individuals out there, first of all, they think of CVS Health as just the medical industry, right? So they'd like, I'm not going to go into that. So I don't even need to connect with, that organization. But little do they know they're missing out on all of these opportunities, these resources, an amazing program, supporting program like BRAVE. And Dave, do you want to tell us a little bit about that from your perspective?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks. So I'm retired Army. So, I know from my own personal experience, I bring a lot of that to the work that the team and I do at CVS. We recognize as a company that people want to join an organization that serves their community. And so I'm fortunate enough to lead a team that, guided by research, partners with nonprofit organizations to look at how can we impact everyone from the time they begin serving and they have a family all the way to the time they're 65 and aging and needing Medicare. There's healthcare implications throughout that entire life cycle. And so we engage with nonprofits to look at how can we provide additional services. Earlier this year, we launched a campaign called Service Made Simpler. And the idea is, how do we start to help military families address some of the things that we all know are the challenge? Anybody that's had to move at least once knows that with relocation comes throwing out a whole bunch of stuff that the movers won't take. So we've partnered with a nonprofit organization and piloted a program at Camp Lejeune where when a new family arrives, we provide them a box to help them get their pantry started and then connect them into other resources within the community. And that's just one example of what we do. But also through the work that we do with BRAVE, we know that veterans in general, not just specific to CVS, like to do volunteer work out in the community. So we partner with organizations like the Travis Manion Foundation, Team Red, White, and Blue, and other organizations to give our own colleagues an opportunity to get out and other veterans and spouses and other people in their community through volunteer activities all across the country. It's a really exciting opportunity to see how our colleagues embrace that opportunity to give back beyond what they do in their day-to-day job.
Dave, that's awesome. And I just have to mention, I think that box would have went a long way when I got to Camp Lejeune in 2016 or whatever it was, because I got there first, and then my wife probably moved in, I don't know, a few months behind me. So that pantry, when she got there, she was like, "What have you been doing this whole time?" So that's awesome that you guys do a lot. And it's awesome to hear, because when we run our job fairs, what I like to do is get the job seekers to ask the questions that's going to help them be employed long term, to help them find the companies like you guys, where the culture is so important, right? Because you can get any job after leaving the military, but if you find one that sticks from the get-go, that means everything. And I kind of get them asking those questions that, like Gabby was mentioning, you don't know what you don't know. So it's awesome that you guys are at the forefront of this and are pushing, honestly, what a lot of companies aren't doing. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, it's a great way for people to start to get to know who we are, what our values are, long before they start to consider us as an employer.
And Dave, you're building that trust and that foundation within the organization, because I can tell you, working within, the marketing and social media field, one of the biggest things we hear is that, a lot of organizations talk the talk, but then when it comes to walking the walk, they're kind of, crickets. So you're laying that foundation, you're laying that foundation for trust within that organization. And I'm kicking myself because I moved like 4 or 5 times just in 10 years. And I also volunteered quite a bit, and I was always trying to find. So I'm like, I could have been reaching out to CVS Health this whole time for these resources, instead of just going out there as a little Lance Cooley with my JJ Did Tie Buckle character traits and trying to figure things out. So I can honestly tell you, just from my perspective, retroactively, it would have made a huge difference, and I'm sure will continue to make a huge difference within the military community. So thank you for having those initiatives. And so taking back to it from the recruiting perspective, as a senior talent acquisition program manager for military hiring, what do you feel are some of the strategies and best practices CVS Health has used to connect with veteran and military talent across, military spouse talent across the country?
Yeah. So it's really a multi-pronged approach. I don't think any one organization has a single action that they are taking, and it has to be a multi-pronged approach. So one thing for us, and a key part of our strategy, is really strengthening and building the partnerships that we have with military focused organizations, both at a local level as well as nationally, such as RecruitMilitary. So RecruitMilitary, I know you give us a tremendous opportunity to connect with talent through virtual and in-person hiring fairs throughout the year. Our talent acquisition team and many of our veterans and military spouses at our organization are attending those events with our talent acquisition team throughout the year. Going along with that trust statement and what we were just talking about, communication and education is really important to us and really critical. So discussions like these allow us to share more about CVS Health. A lot of times it's getting the word out there and having people understand our commitment to the military community and the breadth of career opportunities available across our enterprise. Even foundationally, many people don't realize that CVS Health is a nationwide organization of approximately 300,000 colleagues, and includes businesses such as Aetna, Oak Street Health, Signify Health, and many more. So collectively, we offer opportunities across just about every career area and function that you can think of. And then along with that education internally for us, I'd say one of our most important initiatives is that we do equip our talent acquisition team with training focused on understanding military culture at a high level, translating military experience and transferable skills, and understanding common employment barriers that can come up for our military connected talent. And through that, we do also provide resume review sessions sporadically throughout the year to support candidates as well along their career journey.
And I can tell you that that makes a huge difference. Not only, again, having the programs for support for everything else outside of just employment, but actually going through that process within CVS and knowing that they also have those resources for the transition process. And again, I'm sure the military community isn't even fully aware of that's out there, that they don't think to go directly to the employer for these specific resources, especially ones that maybe aren't automatically assumed to be such huge supporters of the military community.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's why we value the partnership that we have with RecruitMilitary. We will take every opportunity to spread the word and get the message out there for Dave to share all of the work that his specific team is doing to really create a presence within the community and give back and support. And then for us to share, okay, from that, actually bringing you into an employment opportunity, here's what we offer, here's what we have available, here's how we're trying to equip our internal teams to make sure that you are supported throughout that application process as well. So we really try to intentionally look at every single step of the candidate journey, even before you become a candidate, but just supporting the community overall.
And understanding that process absolutely makes a huge difference. And we do have a great question, which may actually make the hiring process more sense. Is, hey, Sarah, are any of your recruiters veterans or spouses?
Yes, they are. Yes, we have a number across our talent acquisition team. We do have colleagues who are veterans, spouses still serving in the Guard and Reserve. We have, I'd say, direct connection, whether first or second degree. Hey, my mom served, my dad served, I have a brother or a sibling or a family member currently serving. This is really important to me. We're passionate about this. That is very much, I'd say, a common thread amongst our talent acquisition team, but I'd say overall across our enterprise as well.
Yeah, phenomenal question, John. And I would say you can't get any closer to being connected with the military community as a recruiter than, still being in the reserves, having served, being a military spouse, maybe still being an active duty military spouse. So phenomenal question, John. And coming back to the Brave Colleague resource, I know you touched on it just a bit, but we're understanding how important of a role it plays in fostering the community and that sense of belonging. Can you tell us a bit more about Brave and how it helps the military community and allies build connections within the organization?
Absolutely. Yeah. So between what Dave had started to share on the work, and that's not even scratching the surface on everything that's being done within the community and amongst his team, and then what I shared as well, we recognize a lot of that is external facing. So what we then offer to you as a now colleague is just as important to us and something that we really try to take a look at and support, especially through our colleague resource groups like Brave. So Brave offers a variety of opportunities for colleagues to connect with one another across the enterprise. Again, we shared, we're a very large organization. We're 300,000 colleagues, and sometimes it's a matter of making the company feel a little bit smaller, especially for our military connected individuals within our organization. So we do offer virtual as well as sometimes in-person networking sessions. We do have a dedicated space as well for military spouses to connect in networking sessions led by military spouse colleagues at our organization. We host professional development discussions centered around career growth, leadership, and leveraging skills and strengths gained through military service and military spouse experiences. And what we love about those is that these sessions often feature our internal leaders who have a direct military connection as veterans or military spouses or those still currently serving to share their insights and experiences related to these topics. And then both virtual and in-person community volunteer events, as Dave mentioned, are available for our colleagues to participate in throughout the year. And I'd say last, just again, regarding that network and creating that community and connection, we do have an opportunity for colleagues to share their stories of service throughout the year. So whether it's their own military experience or a tribute to someone they know who has served, we know that these stories really help to create awareness and connection and celebrate service across our organization, but also continues to act as an education for our organization on here's what military service may have looked like for some of our colleagues. Here's now the strengths that they bring. Here's why they chose CVS Health. Here's the value that you have on your team. So that is something that we really believe in the power of storytelling internally too.
1000%. And I can tell you that, as we probably all know, for anyone making a transition, but especially veterans and military spouses making that transition from active duty or from service to the civilian sector, that adjustment phase and kind of feeling singled out and just different from everyone else when you're trying to reconnect with this whole other side, of the community, the civilian sector, knowing that your organization has a resource like Brave, where they're getting to network and speak with and learn more about their service for the military community and how it can be applied to CVS Health and other industries from veterans and military spouses themselves, I think just makes a huge difference, because it's one thing to have someone higher up in an organization talking to you about something, as opposed to relating to that person and knowing that they understand where you're coming from because they've been in those exact shoes. So thank you again for having that resource, because I promise you it is making a huge difference. And I know that there was a slide you wanted to show, right, regarding maybe some of the positions that everyone out there may not be aware that CVS Health has all these opportunities.
Absolutely. And I know something that we had talked about as we were preparing for this session, and I would love to invite, Dave, I would love for you to chime in on this too, from your perspective. But I know we were talking about, what about someone who doesn't see that direct connection, the direct connection between their military experience and careers in healthcare or retail or technology? What advice would we give, and what areas are we hiring for? I'll first start with just the slide that you have up in front of you. This information is available on the CVS Health career site. We tried to just consolidate it as much as possible for what you see in front of you. But just wanted to call out on the left-hand side, as I mentioned, we have a large portfolio of businesses within CVS Health, and you can see some of those listed here. And then within the body of the slide, we're listing out some of our key career areas that we hire for, anything ranging from clinical and in-store and pharmacy. So probably what you see and more so your day-to-day experience as a consumer when you walk into one of our stores or minute clinics. Then to corporate customer care, warehouse, fulfillment, transportation, probably just about anything that you can think of. But regarding that direct connection and any advice that we can give, one thing I would say in terms of a key best practice here is to focus less on the job titles and more so on the skills that you've developed through your military experience. So that leadership, the problem solving, adaptability, project management are valuable across virtually every industry. And there's oftentimes more transferable experience than you may realize. So again, whether you've led teams, managed operations, coordinated logistics, worked with technology, maybe you've trained others, those skills can really translate to careers across healthcare, retail, supply chain, corporate functions, anything that you can think of. Just because we are a healthcare company, it does not mean that every job on the CVS Health career site requires healthcare experience. And I would say that's probably true of any employer in any industry that they sit in. Finance organizations, it doesn't necessarily mean that every single job requires that experience within a finance industry. So same thing as us pertaining to healthcare. And I would say, again, regarding writing your resume and looking for what could be applicable, for translating your experience. If you have military experience that you're trying to translate into civilian language, there are so many available resources. I know sometimes it can be overwhelming, the number of resources that are available, but I do know Recruit Military offers various support sessions, resume reviews, LinkedIn prep, interview prep. So definitely leverage what you have through key organizations like this. And know that it may not be the case of lacking the right experience, but maybe it's more so understanding how to communicate that experience in an effective way that really translates to the required quals of the role. But I definitely want to give a couple minutes to Dave, because I know Dave is very well versed on this as well. So Dave, I'd love to hear anything you'd like to add in.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sarah. So John, I was looking through the comments. Yes, I'm Army. I was in the artillery. So that goes to prove that you don't have to have healthcare experience to have a job at CVS. My recommendation to those that are on the call today is to start by going into LinkedIn and filtering a search to find veterans that are at CVS, and look at what some of the different jobs are that we're doing. And if you see something that's interesting, reach out to one of us and say, hey, how did you get into this field? Because my experience is veterans and spouses are going to want to help other veterans and spouses. And we can share our experience and our path into CVS to help you understand. And also the best way to find a job, not just at CVS, but at any company, is networking. And so that opportunity to learn about the organization, so that when you show up to a career fair, you know the right questions to ask with the people that are there representing CVS at a Recruit Military event. Like, here's some things I've looked at. Here's some people I've talked about, and you can start to get into a more detailed discussion than just, hey, here's what I've done. Do you have any jobs that match my background? So really leverage a lot of the tools, the training that's out there, to do a little bit of homework and figure out where you think you might want to fit. Don't get trapped into, well, this is what I did in the military, so I have to do that. Again, I'm a prime example. There's lots of people that are doing jobs that had nothing to do with what they did when they were wearing the uniform. So, figure out what it is that'll really make you happy. And as you transition, that's a great time to kind of hit the reset button if you're not happy with what you're doing, and find a new career path.
And with all of that being said, knowing the amazing resources and the community involvement and the appearance at some pretty fantastic career fairs and events, what would you guys say, looking ahead, what excites you most about the future of CVS Health support for the military community? What's next?
Dave, I'll let you kick off and I'll go after you.
Yeah, so, we've talked a lot about joining and getting jobs at CVS, but we also recognize that there's more than one path to finding a job. So I also do a lot of work with organizations to help veterans and military spouses that want to start their own companies. In partnership with a couple of nonprofits, just a week ago, we helped facilitate the launch of Mill Street USA, which provides education and other resources for people wanting to start their own company and build their own career path. Because the great thing is, veterans and spouses that run companies want to hire more veterans and military spouses. And so we really look at all the different ways that we can help the military connected community. So thank you for the opportunity to share just a little bit about the work we're doing. I saw you shared in the comments the press release that connects all the nonprofits we work with. I hope everybody will take a look at that and see a little bit more of the work we do that we really didn't get a chance to explain today. Thanks again for inviting me.
Yeah,
Thanks, Dave.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dave.
and I'll just
maybe.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, Sarah. I just remembered you had something else for that.
No. I'll keep it very brief here. I'll just say, ultimately, my high level statement to add on to Dave is that what excites me most is that there's still so much opportunity. There is so much opportunity for us to still do more and support the military community, whether it is through nonprofits that we work with as an organization, to continuing to hire more and bringing in more veterans and military spouses and military connected talent to make our organization that much stronger. Our company ambition is to become America's most trusted healthcare organization. We can only do that if we have that representation within our company to best understand then how to serve our customers, our patients, our consumers, and then our colleagues internally as well. So it truly is something that only makes us better and stronger as an organization. And the more that we can work towards that, that's the opportunity that really, really excites me.
We couldn't agree more, Sarah. And for veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses interested in exploring those opportunities with CVS Health, we highly recommend that they visit the CVS Health career site, which we will drop in the comments, where they can explore all available career areas and open opportunities, and to really join that community of just pure veteran talent, and to stay in the know with job alerts and all of that good stuff, on top of all of the resources that you guys have. And also, of course, joining us at an upcoming RecruitMilitary career fair, where CVS Health is always making an appearance and connecting with the military community. Dave and Sarah, thank you again so much for joining us today. I love when I join these lives, and I learn so much myself as being a member of the veteran community. Any saved rounds for you guys, speaking to either organizations, employers, or veterans out there?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, what did you say? Any
saved rounds? So sorry. Any last words of wisdom? Dave got that one.
I thought that was the case. I had to
like
make
a sleeper
sure.
agent, he was activated.
No.
Any last parting words of wisdom?
Yeah. No, I would just say there's no wrong place to start, and it's never too late to start. And that, I know that's something that I'll connect with other employers or other organizations, and they'll say, you're so far ahead of us. How do we get there? I can't get there. How do we do that? And it's, you don't have to be another organization. Just start in a single place. Build your network with local organizations, build your network with internally, and engage your veterans and your military spouses. Anything that you can do is a start, and then tailor that to the needs of your company. But that would be my last parting words there. So Dave, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. So I'll just say, it's easy to get frustrated in this process. There are lots of people applying to jobs, not just at CVS, but at every company. So you have to remember, there's a lot of competition out there. Just keep working through it. Just keep trying to stay positive. Keep networking. I mean, I saw John vet working. That's right. Your vet work.
He's onto something there. I like that.
It is so important. There are, I will tell you, my job at CVS was something that I fell into. Through someone else that reached out to me and said, hey, there's a job coming up at CVS. I think it might be good for you. And it wasn't this one, it was another job. But as I interviewed, I found myself into the path that I'm in. I've had people that reach out all the time and say, Dave, will you review my resume? My resume didn't get a single job that I've had since I left the military. I applied to lots of jobs, and in many cases didn't get any responses. But it was people that I knew that helped make connections for me that led to every single job that I've had. And I've worked at 3 different companies. CVS I've been with for 10 years. But there were 2 other companies that I worked with before, and it was networking that got me there. So don't let this get you down. Keep a positive attitude. We've all gone through it. You're not alone. So hang in there. And hopefully I'll get to meet you one day at CVS.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Dave. Sarah and Dave, thank you again so much for joining us today and sharing just how CVS Health continues to support and empower the military community. And thank you to everyone that joined us for today's amazing episode of Recruit Military Live. And we will see you next time. Have a good one.